Hello and welcome to another video in this SAP ABAP training series. Now that you have good basic idea about SAP, we've discussed various things about SAP. Now it's time for you to explore how you can get your own SAP instance for practice. I'm going to talk about three different options you have when you want to have your own SAP instance for practicing. And since ABAP is a programming language, it is very important that you spend a lot of time on the SAP system practicing various things we are going to discuss in this course. So I would say you should be spending 30% of your time in watching the videos and 70% of the time in practicing what you're learning. There are different ways you can have your own SAP instance or get access to an SAP instance. The first option is SAP provides a developer trial edition for free. So you can download it and set it up in your own PC so you can access it for unlimited duration. It has a 3-month expiry date, but so at the end of that duration you can extend it for free. So virtually you'll have it forever free. You can either download the trial edition from SAP's website and install it. But if you don't have your own PC or you don't have enough space in your PC, you can also use any old PC that has some hard drive space to install this SAP instance and access it from your laptop remotely. That way is also possible. And another option is if you really don't want to go through the hassle of setting up an SAP system on your own. It's fun, by the way, and it also helps you to understand a bit about the installation process. But if you don't want to go through all of that, then SAP also provides something called SAP Cloud Appliance Library, where it provides various instances, images of these SAP instances, and you can host them on cloud using Amazon Web Services or Microsoft Azure. But the only drawback is it will cost you a little bit money, whereas the developer edition is virtually free. And if you're not comfortable even doing that, then the third option you have is to take some remote access from any of these third-party vendors available on the internet and use their systems for practicing. But again, the problem there you might face is if the systems could be slow, the network could be slow, or if they're not maintaining well, then the system may be down when you want to practice, so you have to wait for the system to be available. So you might face such issues. I highly recommend you either install the trial edition locally in your system or use the SAP Cloud Appliance Library to host the instance in one of the cloud accounts like Amazon Web Services. So we'll see all these three options in this video. The first one is if you want to set up your own developer trial edition locally in your system, then you can go to the SAP website and there you'll find this developer menu. Under the developer menu, you'll find trial and downloads. This is a US website. If you're opening your local country website, the menu could be different. Irrespective of that, it should be under developer menu. So under developer, you can see these trials and downloads. Click on that. And here it will list all the systems that are available. In that we are interested in this SAP NetWeaver 7.5 Service Pack 2 Developer Edition. So select this system. You can click on download. It will take you to a page where you can download this. So it's like you have to download these files, around 8 files, each is around 1.5 GB. So it may take a while for you to download all of them, but just download all of them, unzip into a folder. And if you click on this get started link here at the bottom, this has all the instructions you need to set up your instance. So you have two options. Either if you're in your laptop, if you have 100 GB of space, then you can create a virtual box. You can use Oracle virtual box to create a virtual instance in your laptop and then install this SAP instance over that, and then you'll be able to access the system via SAP GUI. Or else if you have any old PC, just directly install it, format the hard drive, install OpenSUSE and install your SAP instance on top of it. So you have both options, and in fact they've given instructions for both of them. So here if you look at this, these are the operating systems you can use to install your trial edition. and they've given instructions for OpenSUSE. And these are the hardware requirements. You need at least 6 GB RAM, 64-bit processor, and 100 GB hard disk space. Okay, so if you have this much space, then you can install the SAP instance locally, either in your laptop or any old PC. Okay, and if you go to this link, Linux for newbies, because it's running on Linux, you need to use the command line tool to run the commands, which is a bit different from using Windows. So they have really given good instructions, so I don't see any reason why you cannot install this instance locally. So here, if you see, they've prepared a complete comprehensive guide. So you can download the VirtualBox from here, OpenSUSE from here, and they've given step-by-step instructions on how to set up your instance in the VirtualBox. And just follow these instructions and you should be good. Okay, so this is your first option where you can download and set up your SAP instance. It's like, it may take a while to download those files because they're pretty huge, but once you download them, this setting up, running these commands is hardly a 20-minute job. So in 20 minutes you can have your SAP system up and running. Okay, and this guide also, if you click on this concise installation guide at the bottom, you will find more instructions about how to stop the instance, how to set a few parameters. So this covers everything, how to apply the license. So once you install, you can go to this transaction and apply your license. For that you have to just register with SAP website free of cost, and you can request a license and install it, and it will be valid for 3 months, and at the end of 3-month period you can again request for a new license. And you can use this developer user ID that is created, and for developing various applications we need something called a developer key. So not every user ID can access the development tools in SAP system, so you can use this developer key to assign to this developer. Like, it will just prompt you to enter a developer key the first time you try to create something, and enter this key, and the system will allow you to develop different programs in the SAP system. So, and they've also given instructions on how to renew your license. So it's a pretty well documented page, so you can find all the instructions. And if you're confused reading these instructions, if you search in YouTube for steps to install SAP NetWeaver 7.5 trial edition, there are a few videos that you can find which will again walk you through the step-by-step instructions to set up your own SAP instance. I would recommend, if you have the enough hardware requirement, if your system is meeting the hardware requirement, set it up, because it's much easier. You can access it anytime you want and practice anytime you want. You're not dependent on anything else externally. But if you find it too much of a work, if you are really confused, another option you have is to use the SAP Cloud Appliance Library. If you go to calcarl.sap.com, this website, and click on this Get Started, it will list all the instances that are available that you can host on Amazon or Microsoft Azure. So if you scroll down on this page, here we have this SAP NetWeaver AS ABAP, this one, or you can also host on HANA if you want, or you can take this one. So anyone, either this plain ABAP or ABAP with BW, anything will be fine. Or you can also search. Okay, it's only showing free. Let's say ABAP. So we have this dev edition, developer edition. So you can just click on this create instance button, and it will allow you to ask you to create an account free of cost, and then you can just, by clicking on few buttons, you can host it in your Amazon Web Services account. So if you don't have an Amazon Web Services account, you can create one in Amazon and then configure that to be used while creating this instance. So it's much easy. So you just by clicking a few buttons, you'll be able to run your instance on the Amazon platform. So if you look at this system, they are recommending instance in Amazon which is R4X large of type. So I've opened this Amazon EC2 instance pricing page. R4X large 30.5 GB memory one. It costs you around $0.266 per hour. So if you leave this instance running 24/7, obviously it's going to cost you a lot of money. But what you can do is you can set up the instance, turn it on when you want to practice for an hour or two every day, and once you're done, just turn off the instance. So you'll be charged only for the time the instance was running. So that way your per day cost will be around $0.25 to $0.5. So that's pretty cheap. So even if you use it for a couple of hours a day, your monthly expense shouldn't be more than $20. So that way it's much easy to set up, much easy to maintain, so you don't have to worry about anything else. So for $20 a month, you can get your own SAP instance for practicing. And another good thing is, with the developer trial edition, it is not an IDAS system. It is a basic trial, developer trial. So it only comes with the ABAP component and the basis component and few other components. But it doesn't come with any of the functional components like SD or MM or WM. So it doesn't have any of those components. So you won't be having enough test data to practice in that developer edition. So what you can do is, in this Cloud Appliance Library, SAP provides this IDAS system also. So if I search for IDAS and look for this ERP6 Enhancement Package 7. So this is IDAS system that is available, and it also requires same amount of X2 large. It requires R4 2X large, which is around $0.5 per month. So if you're using an IDAS and if you're using for a couple of hours every day, then it will cost you around $40, $30 to $40 per month. So you can also install this. The good thing about IDAS system is it's a demo system developed by SAP. So IDAS is basically a demo company that SAP uses for showing up different scenarios, how the whole thing works. If you have an IDAS system, it comes with a lot of pre-configured data. It has all the demo data which replicates the real-time data that you typically find in an organization. So it has a lot of sales orders, purchase orders, all these things by default available, a lot of materials by default set up, and you can access a lot of standard SAP transactions to access those to perform those activities. Like you have a transaction to create a sales order, standard SAP transaction to create a sales order. So you can use that to understand how the sales process works. So it comes with a lot of data. So it really replicates the real-time environment. So if you're practicing in an IDAS system and later when you join a company, you shouldn't find anything different. Except for the data. Here you have some data, some orders. There you'll have a different set of data. But the process, the applications, how they work, how they behave, everything should be same, right? For example, in IDAS system, obviously you'll have some test data related to your customers. So this will be dummy customers, not real customers. But the data you'll have their addresses, you'll have their configuration setup, credit limit setup, everything will be there in the IDAS system. And when you join a company, you'll have the same thing. It's just that you'll have more real customers there, but everything else will be same. So that way, it gives you a better way to practice real-time scenarios while you're learning programming. So if you want, you can do this as well. And I recommend, if $20-30 a month is not a big deal for you, I would highly recommend use this Cloud Appliance Library to set up your IDAS instance rather than the developer edition. But if you are just focusing on learning about the coding part, or you don't mind creating your own tables or data, then the developer edition will also work for you. Okay, so these are the two options you have. It's not very expensive, it's reasonable enough. And the third option is, if you really don't want to go through this hassle, Then you can also take the SAP access from any of the third-party vendors available on the internet. Just for SAP remote access, and you should find many people. But I really recommend that you take from a legal service provider. There are so many people who provide this access illegally, and I do not recommend using any of the illegal systems for practice, because you will be in trouble if SAP catches that. So when legally SAP is giving you for such reasonable rates, why go for an illegal system? And even these illegal providers, they don't maintain the system well, because they may not be investing a lot of money in that, and you may not be, like, most of the times the servers could be down. When you want to practice, you might have a situation where the server is not available. So instead of that, take from a good provider, but it's a bit expensive taking from them, but whichever makes you comfortable. So you have these three options. So either set up your own developer edition, or use the SAP Cloud Appliance Library to run your own instance on Amazon Web Services. It's very straightforward. Just create an Amazon account, link it to your SAP Cloud Appliance Library account, and you're done. You just have to click few buttons and the instance will be up and running. But only thing you have to be very careful is, once you're done with practicing, make sure in Amazon you turn off your instance, okay, so that you're not charged while you're not using it. So if you're practicing for a couple of hours, you just run it for a couple of hours, and once you're done, turn it off, okay. And in Amazon Web Services, there's also an option to set a limit for the credit. So once you start accumulating charges, you can say, let's say you can set a limit for $50. Then the moment the amount goes above 50, you'll get an alert, so that you won't caught unaware of, like, you forget to turn off the instance and it keeps on accumulating the costs, and you're not aware of it, and at the end of the day, a month, when you get a bill, you might get very huge bill. So to avoid such things, be very careful. In Amazon, you can set up a alert so that you don't cross the predefined amount that you're not comfortable with. So that way you can take care of this Amazon billing. So I recommend that you use the IDAS system. Here, if you're using Amazon, go for the IDAS system. Okay, so I haven't tried running it in the lower instances. You can try. If it doesn't work, then you can upgrade to the higher instance. This what SAP recommends here is the recommended one, but you can also try going with a lesser memory and see if it holds up. If it holds up, then it's good. You'll have less charges. Okay, so these are the different ways you can set up your instance. And once you set up the instance, you also need to install this SAP GUI. If you're downloading this NetWeaver trial from SAP website, it also comes with the SAP GUI file. So install that SAP GUI in your system. And once you install the SAP GUI, it will create a shortcut icon on your desktop. And if you double click on that shortcut icon, SAP logon icon, you'll get this logon pad. In this logon pad, you can create different connections. So if you have 3-4 systems, like for example, I'm working on with one company, so I have the access to their development system, their quality system, their production systems. Then I have this training system which I use for these trainings. So if you're accessing different systems for different purpose, then in the same SAP logon pad, you can create multiple connections. So you have to click on this create button, and it will allow you to create a new entry. So here, while creating a new connection, you have to maintain these details. The description of the server, you can give any name, and this application server name is important. So if you have set it up locally as using the developer trial edition, then you'll be giving your local system details here, the local system's IP address. If you are setting up in Amazon, then once you set up the instance, you'll have one IP address provided to you. You'll be able to see that IP address. You can give that IP address here, so it will connect to that instance, Amazon's instance. Or else if you are taking from a third-party provider, then they will give you these details. What is the application server you have to enter in the logon pad? So you have to enter that. So this application server and instance numbers are important. When you're setting up the system, it will provide, you'll get all this information basically. So even when you're setting up this instance in Amazon Web Services using SAP Cloud Appliance Library, once the installation is over, you'll see all this information about the application server name and the IP address and the instance number. that you can use to set up your logon pad, and then you can log into the system and start practicing. Okay, so it will take some time, so get started with setting up your own SAP instance, and we'll meet in the next video where we'll shift our focus completely to ABAP. So from next video onwards, we'll start understanding ABAP. Thank you.